this week is just to, say F it and just go out there and, play football how I know how to play football. And that includes thinking less and just going out there and, playing off of instincts rather than just of, so much, so to say, info in my head, data in my head, and literally just going out there playing football.
When you say thinking less, what do you think was causing you to think so much, maybe think too much?
Could be, coaching, I think. But, at the end of the day, it makes it, they're doing their job when they're giving me, what to look at and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I, can't be thinking about that when the game comes. I prepare myself throughout the week, and then when the game comes, it's, it's time to play free at that point. So, just thinking less and, playing more.
You guys' jobs are to get clicks, so it's like when you take my quote out of context and when you just say that, if you paint the picture on the inside out, like y'all are trying to split us up as a team. I'm not blaming anything on the coaches. I'm never going to blame anything on the coaches, never going to blame anything on my teammates. I will take whatever happens in the game, I will take all the blame. I don't care if it's a drop pass, it should have been a pass. Put it on me. But never will you hear anything come out of my mouth to where I will blame it on somebody else in this organization, my teammates. Never will you hear that. So I just want to clear that up and just know that, like, I need to play better. That's it, point blank. If y'all, that's what I should have said in the first place. But, I was trying to give y'all more details because, I appreciate y'all for doing what y'all do. And I try to give y'all the information y'all want for you guys' job. So I'm going to do that. And in the future, but I ask you guys just to put the whole quote out. Don't cut it up into words and pieces to make it seem like I'm saying something that I'm not. So, again, appreciate you guys, what you do. And y'all have a blessed day. That's it.
Welcome to Brother from Another. Jim Trotter is here. Brother Jim, it is always good to see you. How you feeling today?
I'm good, Michael. We this thing is gonna pop right from the beginning, isn't it, man?
Yeah. No. It's funny, man, because it's like watching Justin Fields and listening to Justin Fields. It took me down an unusual path, and I'm sure you can relate. And I hope the listeners can follow what I'm saying. It really took me back to why I wanted to be a journalist, like how I got involved in journalism. So the reason, and you probably the same way, your reasons change as you progress in the field. So when I was a little kid, 11, 12 years old, saying I wanted to be a sports writer and spend my entire career working for a newspaper, that's what I thought I wanted to do. Never thought about radio, TV, books, teaching, nothing. Just I wanted to work for a newspaper and cover a team because I love sports and I thought that'd be a cool way to do a job. And I never for a minute thought about the money. I didn't know how much money they made. I didn't care. And so it was the love of sports and just the exotic nature of the job, I thought, from afar. But as I've progressed in the business, what really gets me going is hearing people's stories and asking questions to answers that I don't have answers already. I ask questions that I really don't know what the answer is going to be. And so when I get those answers and people are detailed and people give me an insight into what they're thinking, I'm like, okay, I'm very appreciative of that. And so I think that's very rare now in journalism. And I think that's why interviews are so hard now. Because what Justin Fields gave you yesterday, I'm not talking about part one with the clarification. Part two with the clarification. I'm talking about part one. Jim, part one, what I heard was a guy who's saying, I got a lot of information in my head and I have to balance the coaching points I get versus what I know. Like this is not the coaching staff that drafted me. I was drafted by the previous administration. I was a top 10 pick in the NFL draft, and I got to figure out instincts versus coaching points. I got a lot going on, and at times it's making me feel robotic. Is coaching a part of it? Yes, but I also have to be better. And it became something else. So it's really hard when we ask people to give us insight, and they give us insight. What we do now, Jim, is kind of turn it into something else. We got to put a spin on it, put something else on it, when I think he just gave you what he was thinking. You got an honest characterization of where he is right now after 2 games of his 3rd season in the NFL. What do you think?
I think he gave the absolute truth about what's going on with him. And unfortunately, the truth can create controversy. And that's what we have here. Him saying that coaching is part of the reason he's suffering from paralysis by analysis is not necessarily, I don't think, should be taken as blame the coaches. It's just a fact of life, of football life for him. And you and I have had this conversation before, and I will repeat it again. I think as many players flame out in this league because of poor coaching as opposed to a lack of talent or lack of ability. And so what I would ask the Chicago Bears is, why are you trying to fit Justin Fields into a system that maybe he is not most comfortable with, or maybe he is not best suited for, as opposed to relying on the things that he does well first? And so that's what I took away from that more than anything when he says, I'm thinking too much. He's going out there trying to be perfect instead of relying on what he has learned during the week and then relying on his abilities and going out and making plays. And I say this to say, I remember early in Alex Smith's career where he was going through a new coordinator every year, and Norv Turner came in as the OC one year. And I remember a teammate or a coach telling me that what Norv did with Alex Smith to slow the game down and make it more effective is he said, I only want you to read half the field, right? And if your read isn't there, then throw it away or take off or move, right? I don't want to overload you at this point, which is not to say that Alex Smith wasn't smart enough to pick up an entire playbook. He was just saying that in that moment, he didn't want to overwhelm him with too much information. And so I took that, I took Justin Fields' comments to be sort of the same thing. And I would say to the Bears, instead of throwing everything at him from the beginning, why not try and give him a little bit at a time so that he's comfortable? And that way you can combine the football part of this in terms of the game planning and the scheme and all of that with his athletic ability, and then hopefully build on that.
Yeah, I love those points you just made, Jim, especially with coaching unique talents. Like Justin Fields, and I got to tell you this, it's a little bit of a surprise to me that he has the talent that he has. And that sounds strange to you, as I am a card-carrying, lifelong member of Buckeye Nation, and I watched him his entire college career do business at Ohio State, but I didn't see this side of Justin Fields at Ohio State. I never would have guessed that he would be a guy who's a whisper away from rushing for 1,000 yards in the season, and that he has the power and speed running the ball because he was so effective at Ohio State just dropping back and passing it. So he's got a lot of dimensions to his game. What he has figured out first, it's just the opposite. I thought he would figure out the passing side first in the pros, and then that the running would come into it. But it's just the opposite. He has really established himself as not only a very good running quarterback, maybe the best one in football. Right there, Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields, and he's bigger than Lamar, and he's stronger than Lamar. So.
We're not going to go there today. We're not going to go there today.
You don't think so?
We ain't got to go there today. No, well, look.
You don't think so?
When it comes to running, quote unquote, I'm not going to say running quarterbacks, but quarterbacks who run, there are different elements. With Lamar, there is a suddenness to his game when he runs, in terms of the ability to stop and start right away and get to full speed quicker than, say, Justin Fields might be able to do. So there are different styles of runners.
And Lamar's a better passer, right? At this point, he's a more refined passer by far.
No question. The statistics speak to that, and they also speak to his ability to throw from the pocket, which a lot of people don't want to give him credit for. But we know what that's all about. I would say this to you, Justin Fields. Again, if you look at how he ended last season, and you talk about his ability to run with the ball, then build on that and start with that. But unfortunately, the directive for him all offseason was, well, we got to get him working from the pocket, right? He's got to be better from the pocket. He's got to make more plays from the pocket and whatnot. And so now you have this ingrained in his head coming into this season. And so instead of doing what made him so effective a year ago, he's now thinking, I got to be more effective from the pocket. I got to be more effective from the pocket. And instead of maybe trusting what he sees or what he is being told, he is trying to be perfect and waiting for, let's say, potentially a receiver to break wide open, or he's not coming off of his first progression as he should, and he's missing wide open receivers. Because of that, all I'm saying is that you can tell, as he said, he is thinking too much. And if you go out there thinking too much, Michael, we've seen what happens, and we're seeing it now.
I that's what I'm saying. I agree with everything you're saying. And I think your point about the Bears and trying to force him to do things, this is just doing too much. Now, see, now you're thinking too much about media coverage. You're doing this foolishness.
See, that's what gets me.
Yeah. I think they lack imagination with their coordinating. Offensive coordinator, I think it lacks imagination for what it could be with him because he's different. That's what that's what you're saying. That I agree with you.
Yeah, but what gets me too is that if he says, coaching is part of this, he is telling the truth. And he's also saying, I got to be better. It's not an either or proposition here. It is both things. And so the unfortunate thing is, as you said, as you opened with, like, we want these guys to be honest with us. We want them to take us inside and help us understand what they are seeing, what they are feeling, what they are experiencing. And then the minute they do that, all of a sudden, what do? Now we want to pit folks against each other, and we want to create this drama, this tension, and whatnot. And that's the unfortunate part, because, as you said, what it does is it turns these guys away from opening up to us about things that are actually happening. I didn't take his comment to be an indictment, so to speak, like, he doesn't have faith in his coaches and whatnot. Maybe he's trying to get to a middle ground or a happy ground with these guys and say, here is something else for us to think about why we are not being effective. And you can say he should have kept it in-house, and I'm not going to disagree with you necessarily, but I'm not going to criticize him for being honest with us and helping us understand what exactly is going on.
Well, that's a perfect transition, Jim Trotter, because I like when people don't keep it in-house. I like when people tell the truth, and they're truth tellers, and they expose things that are happening, and they just speak the truth and let people interpret it any way they can or any way they want to.
Where is this going?
We need truth tellers out there. Oh, Jerry Jones.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
Jerry Jones.
Okay.
Let's hear from Jerry Jones.
Some of the representation is not accurate. It's just not accurate. But I do and want to and have worked very hard to get minority ownership in the NFL. Spent a lot of time on it. And I'm all for that, of course. And Jim's a friend, and I think a lot of him. And I hate that we've got some litigation, and hopefully we will address all of that. But the overall concern, I would say, is just not accurate.
All right, Jim Trotter, that's your friend, Jerry Jones. Who says the overall representation is not accurate. So how do you feel about, what did you think when you heard Jerry Jones say, Jim's a friend, I think a lot of them, but, the overall representation is not accurate? Your thoughts?
First off, I have no animosity towards Jerry Jones. It's funny, in situations like this, or even when I would ask Roger Goodell the questions that I asked him at the Super Bowl, there are people who think that there is animosity between me and the person that I am questioning. There is no animosity. In the case of Roger, I'm just doing my job. With Jerry, I was, in essence, doing my job as well, asking him a question. 3 separate times I said to him, why do you all have such a hard time hiring black people into decision-making positions? 3 different times. And after the 3rd time, he said to me, I'm beginning to get a little defensive. And that's when I had to say to him, Jerry, I'm not speaking about you individually. I'm speaking about owners as a collective. And that's when he made the comment to me about, well, if blacks feel some kind of way, they should buy their own team and hire who they want to hire. Now, I don't know how you take that out of context. I don't know how you misinterpret that. My response to Jerry about, him fighting for minority ownership, they've had two franchises, the last two franchises that have sold, there have been opportunities to have a primary majority black owner of those teams, and yet that has not happened. Why? Because NFL owners are always going to go for the highest bidder, the biggest buck. Byron Allen's group, as you know, was in there trying to purchase one of these franchises. Robert Smith, we knew, had an interest in the Bronco franchise. So the thing that's curious to me as I listened to Jerry's comments, what I asked some friends when I heard it is he talking about majority owner, primary owner, or is he talking about limited partners? The NFL's got black limited partners. That's not an issue. My focus, and I think the focus of others, is when are we going to have a primary owner, a majority owner who is black, who can therefore be in the room when owners have their 1+ meetings? Because right now, guys like Magic Johnson and these other black individuals that the league likes to trot out as showing how, their diversity in terms of ownership, those individuals are not allowed into those private sessions. So I want to know when we're going to have black folk who are in those private sessions. And lastly, I will say this. I have said it before and I will say it again. Me personally, I'm not just looking for a black owner. I am looking for a black owner who is socially and culturally conscious, so that when he does get into that, he or she does get into that room with these private sessions with the other owners, they can speak to an issue that comes from our culture, what we experience societally, and those things, as opposed to someone who is just going to go along to get along.
Yeah, but I agree with you, Jim. I'm wondering what kind of person we're talking about who would be able to do that as a new owner. So, like a lot of these guys, all the committees and all of the influential the committees and subcommittees that are part of the NFL, those usually go to the influential owners who have been around for a while. And so the guys who used to be the new guys, I remember when Robert Kraft was a new guy in the mid-1990s. He was a new guy. Now he's an influential guy. 5, 6, 7 years later, Arthur Blank, the new guy. Now he's one of the influential guys. And Jerry and all these guys are really holding, they're the core. They're the core owners who are making decisions. It's not all 32, adding Green Bay, different situation, but it's not that all 32 are the same. Some owners are more powerful than others. And so my question is, if you bring in a guy, though, if you bring in a new guy, or using that term, a new person, male or female, doesn't matter. Right. New person, a black owner, new to the NFL. You go into that, now you are one of 32. It's going to be very difficult for that person to go in and affect the room as the new one, taking on this very powerful lobby that's existed for a generation, at least.
No question about that. Absolutely, you are correct. But change has to start somewhere. I would say this to you. Back in 2018, if you'll recall, the demonstrations during the national anthem had basically died out. There were maybe a handful of guys who were still kneeling. And yet the NFL owners at their owners' meetings that year decided to put the anthem policy back on the agenda. And the question was, were they going to change the policy to prevent players from demonstrating during the national anthem? And so I remember reaching out to a couple of owners before that meeting and saying, why are you doing this? This is basically dying out. Why would you rekindle the fire here? And these owners said, these two in particular said to me, I agree with you. I don't know why we're doing this. There really isn't a need. The night before the vote, I remember talking to a league official who had met with Stephen Ross and with Jeffrey Lurie, and who had told me that in those discussions with them, there really didn't seem to be an appetite for changing the anthem policy because the demonstrations were dying out. I remember waking the next morning and finding out that, yes, they had voted and yes, they had changed the policy to now say that if you were going to be on the field, you would have to stand. If you wanted to demonstrate, you would stay in the locker room. And so I remember reaching out to these owners then again and said, wait a minute, we just talked about this. What changed basically in the last 2 days or overnight? And I was told that influential owners like Jerry Jones came in and sort of wielded their power and got enough votes that even if these other owners who thought or believed that there was no need to mess with the policy, they didn't have enough votes to leave things as they were. And so they fell in line and voted with Jerry Jones and the other owners to change the policy. I think there were 2 abstentions. One was the York family, San Francisco, and the other was Mark Davis with the Raiders. I say that to say, at some point, owners have to be willing to stand up on principle over profit. And even though guys like Jerry Jones or others may have influence on certain matters, when it comes to matters of principle, are you willing to stand on principle, or are you always going to fall in line simply because it can earn you a few more dollars? And I think the more people you get in that room who would be willing to say that on important issues, we are willing to stand on principle, that's how you start, in my opinion, to sort of sway the momentum against people like Jerry Jones, who are solely concerned about the bottom line and the dollar.
Yeah, most of them. I think most of them are just because of the position that they're in. There are very few people who can even deal in at that table. You know, if this is a casino, that's the room, the NFL owner's room. You just keep walking by because that is like you got to get beyond like 22 velvet ropes just to put your bid in. So most of the people, unfortunately, are like-minded when it comes to the bottom line. A lot of them are not in that room because they value principle over the dollar. A lot of them are in that room because they value the dollar over principle. And now
a lot of the new owners more than the older ones, because in the previous NFL,
the numbers have gone crazy.
Absolutely, it was quite different when you had a Lamar Hunt or a Dan Rooney, or those people who I would argue placed as much importance on principle as they did profit. Now, whether or not the children of these current owners will take the same attitude as their parents, we will find out somewhere down the line. And I tend to think that some of them will stand more on principle than profit, but we'll have to wait and see. But here's what I would lastly say to you on this, to the issue of ownership, Michael. When you get in that room, those private sessions, your vote is as important as Jerry Jones's vote or any other owner's vote. It's 32 votes, right? So it's not like because you're new, your vote counts less. Your vote counts the same.
Yeah, good point. All right, listen, we're going to talk a little Cowboys. We got a Cowboys player, maybe their best player, who wants to play on the other side of the ball. Think about that. We'll talk about that and more. More good stuff coming up. BFA, brother from another with Jim Trotter. I love this. I love this story, and I love the person we have on to talk about it, Jim. Micah Parsons, we know, dynamic defensive talent, plays multiple positions on defense. He is a load. He is the person who keeps offensive coordinators and head coaches and opposing fan bases up at night. However, he says that he'd like to play offense, Ashley Nicole Moss, and I hope as a representative of Cowboys Nation that you could talk Micah and fans out of this ridiculous notion. What say you, Ashley?
Listen, Micah is an athlete. Micah eats, breathes, sleeps football. I have no doubt that he would be a successful tight end. I mean, you see defensively, there's nothing he can't do. I mean, I've yet to see anything he can't do, but you don't have to do it all, Micah. We believe you. Practice is not the game. I don't need you playing both sides of the ball. The offense is the offense. I need you on defense. I need you where you are the best. I need you where you are the most valuable. And that's not as tight end. So it could be fun in practice. I know in practices, guys do a lot of crazy things. Dak sometimes a kicker. He runs routes. I don't want to see Dak Prescott running a route in an actual game. You know what I mean? Let's just leave that at the star. I'm good where we are.
I'm so happy to hear Ashley say that because I brought a prop for today. So I want to show you guys this. This is, see if I can get it balanced here.
Here we go.
This is a preseason game, Chargers against Chiefs, and that is Junior Seau, all-pro linebacker, playing tight end, catching a touchdown pass from Jim Harbaugh, I believe. Junior was so bored on defense that he asked the coaching staff to play offense, and Mike Riley, the then head coach, allowed it. Well, that touchdown pass was enough for Mike Riley to allow Junior Seau to take some snaps at tight end in the regular season. Fast forward to week 2, I believe it was against the Chicago Bears. Junior goes for a short pass over the middle and got lit up, cut his chin, had to get stitches and whatnot. And that was the end of the experiment. So I would say to Micah Parsons, could you play tight end? Absolutely. Should you play tight end? No. He should rely on what Ashley has just said to us. Continue to dominate on the defensive side and make your presence felt there, because there will be people coming after you if you are playing offense, looking to take a shot and deal out some of what you are normally dealing out to others.
For sure.
Rest in power, Junior Seau. Now, I think, Jim, even after that week 2 incident, I bet you Junior still wanted to play because he signed that picture for you. That was a good moment. Somebody took that picture. He signed that picture, so he probably was thinking, come on, I can still play tight end.
Yeah, true story. He loved that moment. And our photographer, I was working at the San Diego Union Tribune at the time, and Sean Haffey took this photo, and Junior asked for a copy of it. And I thought it was such a cool photo. I had it myself, and he offered to sign it when I gave it to him because we had a couple. So he has one. Mike Riley, the head coach, had one. And I have one. The three of us all have, Junior's family now, have this photo, and he offered to sign it for me. I said, who am I to say no? So absolutely, and it's here in my office, and will always stay in my office.
I love that story.
That is a great story. And I'm wondering, Ashley, as we're talking about Dallas, Micah Parsons as an individual is fine. We know how great he is. But collectively, everyone, you hear it. You heard it even before we came on.
I sure do.
Jim Trotter said, "Oh yeah, it's nice until the playoffs start." But why?
Look at him putting it on me. He's gonna put it on me.
Because I believe in the Cowboys. I do. I do believe in them.
No, hold up.
Somebody's lying.
I want to hear what you believe. What do you believe? How far will they go, Michael Holley?
I believe they can go. I think they match up beautifully with Philadelphia. I believe they match up. I think they're better than San Francisco because they have more than I think they're better than the Niners. Yes, I do. We'll talk about them in a second. But Ashley, you tell me this. Forget about what I think.
Wait, no.
Ashley's here.
No. Hold up.
Listen,
No. Hold up. We're going to use this as an example, as a teachable moment for your students, Michael Holley. I asked you a specific question, and you dodged around it.
He gave you the political answer.
Super Bowl.
He gave me the political answer.
They are Super Bowl contenders. They are Super Bowl caliber.
No.
I don't know if they're gonna. I don't know who's gonna win it. I picked Cincinnati to win the Super Bowl, but is Dallas as good? Okay, I picked Cincinnati to win it. Is Dallas as good as Cincinnati? Hold on.
How far is Dallas going?
They are going to be in the NFC Championship game. NFC Championship game.
Do they win it? Do they win it?
They could. They could. Hey, I don't know. How do I know? Who am I? The Lord? Am I the Lord? I don't know. Come on, bro. I don't even know what's going to happen in 2 hours.
Ashley, go ahead.
Ashley, tell me, how's it going to be different, though? How's it going to be different this year compared to last year when they just looked a little overmatched against San Francisco? Why is this year different?
Listen, I think that this team is more balanced. I think that not only team-wise are they more balanced, I feel like Dak looks a lot better. I think that that offense looks a lot better, which also makes Dak's job easier. I think the play calling also is more adherent to the quarterback that Dak is. They're more creative on offense. I think one of the things that I was having an issue with last season was Kellen Moore was calling a lot of plays for the quarterback that Dak Prescott used to be. And he's not as mobile as he once was once upon a time. And I think a lot of that has to do with that gruesome injury that he had in the year of his contract. It changed the way that he played the game. But if you saw in a lot of the situations he was put in, it was still very much reminiscent of that quarterback pre-injury, and you needed to adjust. I think that a lot of his strong suits and the things that he does well are being highlighted more in this offense, which then makes him better and makes the offense better. Now, I'm not somebody who gets too high or too low. Don't get me wrong. I love beating the Giants, and I love even more when we 40-piece them and they don't score a point on us.
Oh,
it's fantastic.
There it is.
I love beating both New York teams. I call them New Jersey teams because you are where you play, and you play in New Jersey.
Ooh.
So
Petty.
enjoy thoroughly what has been going on these past 2 weeks. I fully expect for this Dallas Cowboys team to beat the Arizona Cardinals. I'm hearing what everybody's saying. Yes, the competition has not been, creme de la creme. It's not like we're going against, the Chiefs. It's not like we're going against the Miami Dolphins right now. We are going against teams that we are supposed to beat. So right now, I like that bare minimum. We look good, but we are doing what we're supposed to be doing and beating the teams that we're supposed to beat. And that, for me, sets a precedent and a mindset and a trajectory that hopefully falls into the games and the matchups against the teams that are going to give you a little bit of a harder time.
Well, speaking of those teams that might give you a harder time, let's hear from Brock Purdy, representing the Niners. The Niners take on the Giants tonight. The Niners are 10.5-point favorites. Here's Brock Purdy.
As they should be.
As a quarterback, you want to play perfect. Is that, a real thing? Like, can you play perfect? I don't know. You're going to mess up, obviously, but for myself, it's like, man, I hold myself to a standard. This whole offense, this team holds ourselves to a certain standard, and so for me, it's like, man, I got to watch the film, learn from it, get out at practice and rep it to, build that confidence again that, hey, we can hit those shots and those opportunities. We've done it in the past, and it's something that, you learn from, but not dwell on, and let it affect your game moving forward.
All right, Jim Trotter, I say give me the Giants in 10.5. 10.5 is a hell of a lot of – that's a lot.
Brock Purdy, real quick, doesn't look a day over 19. Like, how old is he?
No, he doesn't. So Trotter, tell me why you started laughing when I said give me 10.5. The Giants in 10.5. Why is that crazy?
The reason I started laughing is because a little bird told me in my ear one time that Michael Holley is not a believer in Brock Purdy, right? And I'm basically asking, what does he have to do for you to become a believer in Brock Purdy? I don't get it. All he has done since he has taken over the starting job is win. The only game he has lost is when he got hurt. So tell me, what does he have to do for you to become a believer?
Actually,
hey, Jim coming for your neck today, Michael. What's up? What'd you do to
I know.
him?
I like it. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I like that. I love Jim Trotter. Okay, Ashley and Jim, you both know what this situation is like. This is not about Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy just caught my stray. He's catching strays. It ain't about Brock Purdy. I like him. He's a Mr. Irrelevant. Good for you, Iowa State. I'm glad you're in the league. I hope you get paid. It ain't about you. It's about the Niners. I just don't like the way they are excuse makers, and they get a pass every year by the media cartel. They get a pass because Kyle Shanahan's great with the media. John Lynch is great with the media. So I got to hear again about their Super Bowl ready roster. And last year just pushed me over the edge. Hey, if we had a quarterback, we would have beat Philadelphia. Sit down somewhere. Injuries happen in football. Imagine Imagine a football player gets hurt. Imagine a guy throwing a football, and if somebody runs into him while he's throwing, he might get injured. Quarterbacks get hurt. You're not entitled to win. You're not entitled, so stop. So I root against the Niners, but I root for Purdy, if that makes sense. I kind of root for Purdy, but I don't want him to win the Super Bowl because I don't like the attitude.
A little bit. I mean, I do think
they act funny. Ashley, they funny acting. The Niners.
I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying in that regard, because I feel just like with my Cowboys, I feel like the goalpost is constantly moving for Dallas, that it doesn't move for other teams. Like, there are other teams in the league who right now are sitting at 2-0, and they are being celebrated as they look fantastic. And, the Eagles are one of those teams, and they look fantastic. And, this is great. And nobody over dissects the schedule. Nobody over dissects the teams that they went ahead and got wins against. Everyone just is always focusing on the pros and the pros and the pros. With Dallas, the goalpost is moving often because we're 2-0, but yet it's, they play the Giants. Oh, they play the Jets. Oh, it's not the offense. Oh, Dak doesn't look that good. And I'm just like, what's good for the goose gotta be good for the gander. Like, you gotta go ahead. The goalpost gotta stay the same. I don't like that.
Get your people, Trotter. What's up?
Can I jump in on this? I would never interrupt Miss Ashley, because she always brings the intelligent takes here. But it's not moving the goalpost. The reality here is the reason we focus on Dallas in the way that we do is because regardless of what they do in the regular season, they always flame out in the postseason.
But so do the 49ers.
Hold on. When the 49ers get to the playoffs, what have they been doing? At the very least, they have been getting to the NFC Championship game.
We're moving the goalpost, though.
And being competitive in the NFC Championship game, with the exception of last year after Purdy got hurt. We don't see that with Dallas.
Hold on. Can we pull up that list right now? Can we re-pull up that list of all the undefeated teams right now after week 2? Because there are other teams on that list who have fallen short. The Baltimore Ravens have fallen short. The Miami Dolphins have fallen short. How many NFC
Championship games have they been to recently?
What I'm saying is these teams have fallen short in the playoffs if they've even made the playoffs. I'm not saying that Dallas has been perfect in the postseason. And one of the strikes against us is we look really good in the regular season. And for some reason, for some way, shape, or form, it falls apart when it counts the most. I hear it.
Bingo.
I'm not negating that. But we're not the only team on that list that has happened to. And again, we're not the only team on that list who is 2-0 right now that everybody seems to be celebrating. Oh, they look really good. Look at this team. Look at that team. They're well coached. Look at their defense. Look at their offense. Look at their quarterback. But with Dallas, it's, they haven't played anyone. Oh, Dak doesn't look that good. Oh, this. That. Dak went perfect on his opening drive for a touchdown. Went perfect, and people are still dissecting that game as saying, he was not that impressive. Like, what do the Cowboys have to do? Sacrifice a lamb at the 50-yard line? I'm confused.
Dak was incredibly impressive. You will not hear me say that. And the defense was incredibly impressive. And the Cowboys have often been incredibly impressive during the regular season. And then the postseason comes, and it's like all of a sudden they have forgotten how to play football.
It's week 2, Jim. You can't throw the postseason in my face in week 2. You can't do that unless you're going to do it with the other teams in the mix. It's week 2. Don't do that. That's not fair.
That same energy.
But we're talking about Cowboys here, right? The conversation is Cowboys. The conversation is not these other teams. If anyone wants to talk these other teams, we can do that as well. I'm happy to do that. But the conversation is Cowboys. And part of the reason, Ashley, the reason here, I get you. You're right. You're absolutely right. But who makes the low-hanging fruit, too? It's the owner who is always talking about the Cowboys, right? Right? I'll never forget last year when Dak got hurt and Cooper Rush comes in. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden he goes 4-0. And there's this conversation. Should Cooper remain the quarterback and whatnot? And you got Jerry out there saying, what did he say? He didn't say Dak right away. He didn't say right away that it was going to be his job when he came back, right? He created this. Wait, hold on. He created this controversy. And so I remember going to someone pretty high up in that organization.
Yes.
And I said, I said, did you have a conversation with Jerry about this? Know that was coming or whatever? And the person told me, we in this locker room have a rule. We have a dome over the locker room, and we understand our owner likes the circus. And so whatever he says, he says. But in here, we ain't about all that, and we don't pay any attention to that.
All right.
Jerry does not speak for us Cowboy fans. I have my own
There it
thoughts
is.
on how he has treated Dak Prescott over the years. That's a different conversation. I am with you and you're right. I am not a fan of how he has done QB1. That's a totally different conversation. Different day, different conversation.
Listen, Ashley, always good to see you. Always good to hear you. You make a lot of sense, and I hope you all enjoy the game tonight. It's going to be a great game. Brock Purdy might throw for 400 yards, and the Giants will cover. They will cover 10.5 points, y'all.
Not happening.
That's irresistible.
If Steph played in the offense like me, where it was required for him to have the ball more, we'd get to see him do more point guard stuff.
You think Steph is better than you?
I don't think nobody is better than me. I don't think nobody's better than me when I get on the court. That's probably my greatest strength is I believe what I believe, and that's what it is.
You think you're the best point guard in the NBA right now?
Yeah.
Okay, that's Dame Lillard talking about Steph and others. And on one hand, Natalie, I can appreciate what he's saying. And I think a lot of pros are like that. They have so much confidence. And even if it doesn't match our rankings, it's not about us. It's what has gotten them to the league. It's what's kept them in the league, this unbelievable confidence and belief and faith in their own abilities. On the other hand, come on, bruh. Come on, hey, look, stop it. Stop it. You're not. No, you're not better than Steph Curry for many reasons. Natalie, help me make sense of this before I lose my mind on Dame, who I like. I like Dame. But damn.
Good for you.
Damn.
That was cute. That was cute what he said. But first of all, I just want to point out that I'm wearing a shirt that says Steph Better. Okay, that's what it says on it. Steph Better and Steph We Trust. Okay, listen, I truly have no issue with Damian Lillard saying he's the best point guard. He thinks Steph is better than him. That's what he's supposed to say. If he didn't, I would be looking at him sort of funny, right? No issue with that. My issue is with the characterization of what Stephen Curry does. When he says, if he played, like the way Dame played, he'd be doing more point guard things. What does that even mean? I get very frustrated at this idea of Stephen Curry not being a point guard and people not understanding what he does on the court. There was more in that interview, but he talked about, Draymond being the team's point guard and all this other nonsense that people say. Let's just be very clear, okay? We need to stop looking at point guard in terms of assists. No disrespect, assists are obviously important, but we cannot measure what a point guard does just by assists. And people look at Steph's assist numbers and they look at the fact that Draymond averages more and they say he's the team's point guard. And that could not be further from the truth, okay? Your point guard is the one who initiates the offense. They create opportunities. That's all Steph, okay? Draymond, no disrespect to him, but he helps to facilitate the offense. He helps to make those passes, but the opportunities start with Steph. When two people are following him around on the court and all that space is created, it starts with Steph. And so we have to stop saying that he is not a point guard. And I just want to refresh people's memories. This is the last thing I'll say. Back to 2013, Steve Kerr, when Mark Jackson was the coach, Stephen Curry averaged 8.5 assists. So for those people who need the assists, he's very much capable of averaging high assists. In that first finals with Kevin Durant, when they did the finals, he nearly averaged a triple-double. Please miss me with he's not a point guard.
Jim, what do you think?
First of all, how do I follow Nat? She always just wraps it up and brings the heat. So I'm all with her. She knows that. And look, you see what's behind me on my wall. It's Stephen Curry there. So I got nothing negative to say. The thing I will add to this conversation, though, in all seriousness, is we have to stop talking about basketball in a way that is outdated, if you will.
Yes.
When you talk to
Yes.
the Golden State Warriors, what do they say? We play positionless basketball, right? That's what they will tell you. And so there's no question this offense is initiated by Steph, but the things that they do and the way that they take advantage of his motion and his way to bring people to him to create opportunities for others and those sorts of things is different from how it was in a traditional sense when you and I were growing up, Michael, and positions were regimented. You know, it was like, this is what a point guard does. This is what a small forward does. This is what a center does. That's not the NBA game today. So we have to stop talking about it in that way, in my opinion.
It irks me.
Oh, Jim, excellent point. And you can see it. You can see it play out. I told, I don't think you were on the show. I think I was telling Michael Smith and Vinny that I recently just started some project, unintentional project. Start going over all the NBA Finals matchups. I started in the 80s and made my way up to the present. And you could see it in the 80s where forwards, they were almost like in gym class, like there's a little circle. You can't go outside this bubble or you're out. They were almost rooted on positions on the floor. And like forwards wouldn't go where guards were or go where centers were. They were almost like in this area, and guards kept their positions. The game's not like that anymore. The game is so much more open and more free, positionless, as you said. The game has changed, which brings us to a game changer. Ooh, I like that transition. Brings us to a game changer, Deion Sanders, who always gives good interview. Let's listen to Deion Sanders with Taylor Rooks.
Why are you more than a moment? Why will this last?
Because moments that has consistency translates into monuments. That's another one that was so good. I just had to think about that. When I said it, I saw it. God, that was good. Let me see if I can say that again.
Please do.
Moments that are consistent translates into monuments. And I'm a monument, not a moment. You see how I turned and gave you the eye contact at the end? That was like the nail it. That was like the exclamation part. Like,
there it is.
Yeah.
Hold on. Hey, Gary, play the next one, though. Gary, there was another one right after that. Gary, I want you to play them back to back. Come on, play the other one. Play the other one, then we can talk about Deion here. Play the next one.
I saw that clip of you talking with your sons. There was a joke about, okay, what if Shedeur leaves? What if he goes to the NFL?
Yeah, we don't want to talk about that.
But in this hypothetical world,
yeah, it is a hypothetical
how
world.
would you feel if he did say, I want to leave?
You got to understand now, you know that we're never caught off guard on anything. And Daddy has been around the block a couple times. So we've discussed every possible scenario that can be had.
What do you have to see from a player to say, okay, they are ready to make that jump?
It's not about what I'm seeing from them. It's about a whole lot of other things. Teams, position, round projection, all of that plays a role. But Shedeur don't want to be two to nobody. He don't get down like that. So, people projecting him behind, Caleb Williams, and Caleb Williams is phenomenal. But Shedeur ain't no backseat rider. He drives his Maybach. He don't have a driver in it. He drives it. Yeah.
All right, so I want you, Natalie and Jim.
I need merchandise.
I just want you. Let's get some takes. Let's get some takes on that. What are we hearing from Deion? Because we can't get enough of him.
I need merchandise that says I am a monument, not a moment. I need it. I want the hat. I want the shirt. I want it because he's great. That is gold.
I'm a monument. And it's not even, it's funny, Jim, but it's not as good as Deion thinks it is. Like that's what cracks me up, is that he thinks it's so amazing. And it's like nice. It's nice. It's not the best thing he's come up with. Jim, I'm sure you have come across Deion in your career. What do you think of the moment/monument that Deion Sanders is in and is right now?
The thing I always love is how when he thinks he has nailed one, he will tell you. Like he will say to his people, y'all didn't hear me though, did you? Or no, y'all got to clap on that one. Whatever. He's going to make sure you acknowledge what he thinks is like it, you know? And so I'm in my mind, I'm saying, okay, are we comparing a moment with a monument? How are we doing that? And how does that work? But
it's not even that good.
You know, it makes it work.
Okay. It's all right.
Makes it work.
Oh, love you, Deion. Love you. Jim, I want to tell you, in September 2020, when Brother from Another was born, that was a moment. But now we're a monument. Brother from Another. Oh, you see what I did? You see, y'all heard that? Ooh. Monument.
Give me the exclamation point.
You don't know what it means.
Give me the exclamation point. Give me the exclamation
You don't know what
point.
it means, but it sounds good. Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.